We're going to go into book spoilers now. So this is your chance to opt out if you've not read the books. Rest of the entire show will be about the book spoiler section. So if you've read all 5 books, stay with us. Otherwise, we're about to spoil things for you. Okay? You've read all 5 books. That's why you're here. All right.
Or you just want to know.
Right. So yeah, the episode Hardhome, all 5 books. Let's talk about this. First thing I wanted to ask is, what do you think about, we're wondering, because they're rapidly burning through the 4th and 5th book, and obviously the 5th book ends with the supposed death of John. Do you think Ollie, the kid, I think that's the way you say his name, do you think he is being positioned to be the one to do that in the show?
I don't think he'll be the one person. You're saying he's just going to go and stab John to stop his wildling madness.
Right.
Because he's filled with wildling grief.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a bunch of guys like in the book are going to come and like Caesar him,
Right.
But Ollie will be among them.
I think it could be a mixture of both in that, it might still be sort of the group, but I feel like Ollie's the one who will, they'll show the death blow, the close-up, even though, again, I don't think John's dead in the books.
John will be like, everyone will have stabbed him, and John will be like, help
Yeah,
Ollie,
yeah.
and he'll be like, and put him out of his misery, sort
This
of.
is for my family.
Yeah.
I will say that the books, in a series known for its unambiguous, no-holds-barred death left and right, John's death was ambiguous enough that I think that he's going to survive it.
Oh, yeah. And of course there's the theory that that book was also a lot about skin changers and stuff.
Right.
Could he possibly hop into Ghost or something?
Right.
But then is he a wolf for the rest of the
And it might be something
series?
like that. I shouldn't say that he'll be fine, like, oh, I'm okay. But one way or another, I think John will survive. We'll continue on.
I think so as well, but not in a good way.
No. But I do think Ollie, who's not from the books, has been positioned to be the important, so it won't just be a bunch of guys in black who might have yelled things against John in the past. He will be the face of those who turn on him for bringing in the wildlings.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about just in general terms is, and of course we've touched upon this last week, you and Jim mentioned it briefly and we talked earlier, but we're now going way into stuff that wasn't in the books. Obviously even that, the Battle of in the books, Hardhome is mentioned. I think it's Melisandre as a vision of it overrun with death. Mm-hmm. So we just get the idea that something terrible happened to wildlings there. Seeing it, that was totally new and exciting. But obviously the big thing is Dany and Tyrion meeting, which hasn't happened in the books. And I find it absolutely thrilling. And as someone who's criticized the 4th and 5th books a lot and just don't think, they're still good, but they're pretty meandering at times and they're not as strong as the first 3. I just thought it was really exciting, and not just because it stops those a-holes from being able to spoil things just to spoil them. Thrilling to just be like, oh, we are going way beyond the books now and just getting to stuff that we've wanted to see in the books for a long time.
Yes. I'm right there with you, man.
So anyway.
Yeah. No, it is great. As someone who's read the books, the whole time, this whole show, I feel like we've been playing catch up.
Yeah.
But now I feel like everyone's sort of, like I said earlier, on even keel, which is really exciting. And the fact that they're giving us stuff that's we've been building to for so long and the questions we've had lingering, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy when I thought about last night's episode because we had a lot of storylines, but only Cersei and Arya's are from the book. Yes, Sansa was another character, but it's so different because it is Sansa and she's right there in it talking to Theon. It's just, because the 4th and 5th book do feel like, he kind of lost the story a bit. It's just too many new characters, too many, things kind of going off and some fake outs. We were saying, the fact that Tyrion almost reaches Dany, but then she leaves, It was gotten pretty frustrating.
Yeah, the books just, and also the big war, the War of 5 Kings was over.
Yeah.
So he was just sort of rebuilding sort of the post, the new Westeros sort of, and developing that, and then going off into other places and developing these other sub-characters and stuff. And even the show, apparently, Dorne has something to do with something, otherwise they wouldn't have put it in it. But the show is sort of what do they call it when you take sand and go like this and you get gems and gold, sifting? Something like that, panning for gold or whatever. Yeah. That's what the show is to me. Is it's taking the books, they know what's important, and so everything that's crucial is they're putting in the show. So I think that's interesting to know. Whereas when we read the books, you suddenly realize, okay, maybe all that wasn't that important. Like it was.
Right.
It's always cool to see because part of what makes the book
Building
so great
the world,
is
yeah.
it's the world building. Even if you don't need to know about the time this guy went to the bathroom behind this rock, and the significance of the rock and the field it was in. It's so cool to know.
Yeah, and in defense of this season, and I don't want to say there was no misstep season. I mean, Dorne has not been handled well. Like you said, it must be important for them to include it, we assume. We shouldn't say that for sure, because it also might have just been wanting to give Jaime and Bronn something to do, because they don't have a lot to do in the books at this point. And, again, Sansa's storyline, I don't want to say anything yet until we know the payoff for it. It was troublesome, but let's see where it goes. But in the bigger sense of things, and people calling this season of TV, it's slower and it is, it's more meandering, which is valid, but also they were adapting the part of the book. They were doing a truncated, quicker version of stuff. They basically are burning through 2 huge books. And I think it was, wanting to not, just skip everything, then they want to pay tribute to those books, but also being like, it's time to get to some bigger stuff, and start really moving it. And I know the producers have said that I think it sounds as if you read between the lines, I don't even think read between the lines, they want the show to be 7 seasons and HBO wants more, and I think they might compromise on 8. But either way, I mean, with only 10 episodes a season, I mean, we are aiming towards now the ending, so
yes,
things have to go. George R. R. Martin, last thing I'll mention, George R. R. Martin said he really wants to get the 6th book done before season 6 debuts. A, do you think that's possible? And B, how much do you think it'll just be like alternate reality now? When we read that book, and just it'll probably be very, very interesting and different to see where it goes compared to the show.
One, unfortunately, I do not see him getting it out, because for those, if you guys are just now getting into Game of Thrones with the show or just now reading the books, you weren't there for the wait for these books and like checking his website like every week to see when he'd post like a chapter and he'd be like, oh, it's coming out next year. Then it's maybe next year. Maybe next year. So he's just notorious for being late, and it's fine. Write your story, do your thing. He didn't have this rabid fans, even more rabid fans, I should say, waiting for him to get the book out. So it's a much different scenario right now. But I do not see him getting it out in time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We can make a bet on it. What do you think?
No, I'm no bet, because I'm with you.
Okay.
But I do think it'll be interesting to see sort of because again they're going to aim towards the same ending because the producers know the end of the books. But I think it's going to be such a different path now.
Yeah, it'll be, and I think that's great to have. If imagine having 2 Harry Potters, like we kind of did the movies and the
but
show,
this is going to be even more dramatic.
Yeah, it's just so different because there's so much more going on.
Yeah. So that's all for this week on Dragons on the Wall. There are 2 episodes left. Episode 9 is usually the huge one.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do after
You thought this one was crazy.
We'll see. Our next week's going to be just totally quiet and mellow.
Yeah.
We will see. We'll be back here next time with Dragons on the Wall. Thanks, guys.